Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are.
Good
I'm in
afternoon.
London. It's really hot here. It's a bit weird.
Same, same here. But it's looking very cloudy outside as if there's rain on the horizon.
Oh, well. Um, how are you before we start off? Keep it
I
short.
am very awesome, I mean, only downside is I haven't been able to watch Black Widow as yet. And, if there's anyone out there who can explain why, but for some reason the Disney app won't allow me to even actually purchase the Black Widow film, which is available to purchase. It only allows me to see the trailer, and I can't even purchase it to watch it. So
That is
I'll have
strange.
to wait.
If there's anybody with any links to Disney Plus watching, that'd be great. If you could just like give them a phone call, ask them,
Yeah.
hey, how comes we can't watch Black Widow? I've seen Black Widow, and I am unfortunately going to be talking about it at some point during the stream. Sorry, Dave, I'm going to have to throw a few spoilers at you, but I don't feel as though we're going to be. I think a lot of this stream is going to actually be us talking about where the MCU is going to be going, because it looks like it's going to be going in some very interesting places, and the Black Widow movie kind of shows that as well,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But so Loki is finished. We had the last episode. Overview, man. What did you think of the last episode? Was it everything you'd hoped it would be?
It was because, I mean, in terms of our predictions,
My predictions.
combined, we were right together.
It's about 70% me, 30% you, but okay.
No, because the reason why I'm taking 50-50 was, remember last week I said you can't trust Miss Minutes. I
Yeah,
said
we
you
both said
can't
that, yeah.
trust a talking clock wearing Converse. Converse,
It was
con artist of the
the Converse
universe.
shoes were the giveaway.
Exactly. And ta-da, I was right because Miss Minute was in on it as well.
I mean, yeah, she seems to be some kind of, I don't know, she seems to be, what's the term?
Like a
Beholden.
politician. She's just playing, just playing, one of those weasel lawyers, just playing, representing her clients. Like, when my client's making you an offer, XYZ, or proceed and try and do this.
So yeah, I mean, it seems like Miss Minutes was very beholden to, well, I'm going to say Kang. That definitely was Kang we saw with Jonathan Majors, 100%. But it was kind of like an amalgamation of 2 or 3 different MCU characters. So that was definitely a iteration of Kang, quite a nice
Yes, a
iteration
variant.
of Kang. Miss Minutes also referred to Kang as He Who Remains, who in the comic is
Yes.
a separate being who's actually the TVA's, I guess he's the TVA's oldest agent, is probably the best way to describe it. And he created the Timekeepers. But for me, that was actually more than anything, that was a being named Immortus. Now, in the comics, Immortus is a Kang. It's another variant of Kang from a future part of Kang's timeline. But in the comics, Kang is a bit more of a tweener. He sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. I
So he's
think
like an anti-hero. He's an
more
anti-hero.
recently he's been a good guy. And the way Jonathan Majors was dressed in this episode was more reminiscent of Immortus than Kang. So I would say we actually saw an amalgamation of 3 Marvel characters in Jonathan Majors.
True, because it's interesting you say that because how they left it, it's down to interpretation of who you think he really is. Because he says, I've been known as a conqueror,
Yeah,
which
that
obviously that's one of the names that's Kang, Kang the Conqueror. So, they were throwing things out without him actually saying, I am
yeah.
Kang or I am Loki. Just like how all the Lokis confirmed they were Lokis, but he didn't actually confirm that he was Kang. He just says, you know, we were sharing information. He's from the 31st century.
Mm-hmm.
And, at first, we were sharing information, bouncing off each other and, coming together and doing this for the greater good. And then all of a sudden, just like with anything, at some point, your hubris lets you think, you know what, I should actually be the leader of me. And if you can't even be equal with yourself, then
Yep.
how will you ever be equal with anyone else? Because the fact that you wanted to even conquer yourself, literally to be the more dominant you, the ruler of yourself, like, if you said that out loud, it would sound like you're crazy. Like, yes, I'm going to conquer myself. I want to be the ruler of me. Thinking like, are you okay? And literally, that's exactly what he actually did.
Yep.
And he was the sole survivor.
Yep. Sorry. My cousin's just hasn't seen Black Widow either, so he just wants a prompt from me when we start talking about the Black Widow. I'm only going to talk about one part of Black Widow, just the end credit scene. That's the only thing I want to talk about.
Okay, that's good then. Yes, leave the rest for us non-seers to see it.
So my brother Kay originally Miss Minutes was going to fight Loki and Sylvie. It's interesting. That would have been quite a battle.
Yeah, that would have been something else. Like Loki. Like old school Loki's got the man purse. Miss
Yeah.
Minutes get her little man purse. Let me get out the black Converse because I'm about to stomp a mud hole in both of you.
Now, I'm going to be very honest with you, Davie. I mean, I loved the entire series. I loved this last episode. Before we move on, what was your reaction? I'd like to know the comments as well. What the reaction was when the lift doors open and Jonathan Majors, Kang, Immortus, he remains, is the character sitting there.
It's interesting. I'll say it was beautifully done in the sense that it threw everyone off because you was probably expecting some big bad, you're expecting something like
Another
in
Loki.
in my mind, no, I was expecting something more like an entrance for like the end scene of Avengers Infinity War when it was, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man coming face to face, and literally Thanos is just sitting there, with his weapon and his helmet, literally waiting as if he's like, yeah, I've been waiting for you, guy. So he was expecting. I was kind of expecting. Part of me was expecting some big baddie waiting there to be like, you've come too far. I have to destroy you. I can't let you tell my secret. But instead, he was very welcoming. He was just like, oh.
This is what I mean. This was nice, guy Kang, and I think this is great for Jonathan Majors because he's going to be able to play so many different types of character. I think moving forward, he's going to be playing so many different types of Kangs from so many different timelines, and they're all going to be a bit different. And he's going to be able to just put his acting skills, to the test, and and just show the world. I haven't seen a lot of Jonathan Majors in the past, but he's going to show the world exactly how good an actor he is, I feel, moving forward.
Right. And I think that's one of the main things I think we've come to love about Marvel and, Disney now, who's now basically the owner for Marvel. They seem to have a talent for finding the right actors to come in and they will just fit in. They don't seem out of place.
Yeah.
When they come in, it's just like, oh, literally like they belong there. They didn't seem like, they were like, they just turned up on the scene. They seem as if they were there all along, like that role was meant for them. On a bigger note, I actually think that actors, like personally, I think a lot of actors now in Hollywood, in the film industry, have to thank Marvel and Disney because with the way they've actually done this has now opened infinite avenues for jobs.
Yeah.
For actual actors, because you can have so many different series based on whichever variant you want, because everyone's going to have their favorite of what they've seen so far. They're like, oh, I'd love to see their story, which means there's so many jobs now that's going to be available for so many actors in
Yeah,
Hollywood
100%.
to actually get on there, because there's so many now, especially with the timelines all branched out. It's not just one. It means that there's infinite stories to be told.
Well, and as well, like they can pull in every single like character from any Marvel franchise they want. I mean, me personally, I don't want any of the X-Men from Fox to be in, apart from Deadpool. I don't want any of them there. But imagine this: I was watching another video review of Loki, and one of the panelists said, "Imagine if a version of Kang turned up in one of the Spider-Man Sony movies.
That
Imagine he
would be,
turned up in, say, like the Venom movie, for example, just as a little like cameo.
but aren't they
Because in
all
theory,
now
that could happen
under?
now.
But yeah, because now they're all linked, isn't it?
Yeah, but we know that there's plenty of Kangs in plenty of different timelines anyway.
Hence why I said, in terms of jobs, there shouldn't be, unless you're a lousy actor, which means that performing arts and acting isn't for you. You've got a chance on getting on any one of these variant series, because there's going to be so many different series to see, so many different ones to, with so many different variants and
Yeah.
alternate Earth that you can actually see now, whatever. And I
And
think
another thing as well,
even,
I think the Marvel Universe is a good test of an actor's acting chops, so to speak.
yeah,
Because you've got people like Martin Scorsese making comments about the Marvel Universe not being proper movies. Like Stephen Dorff, of all people, was
yeah, I
making.
saw that one. That one
I
was
was
a bit
just like, God,
surprising,
nobody cares about you, Stephen Dorff. Nobody rated you as an actor in the first place. Well,
Well, I
but
liked him in Blade, to be fair, though. He was a good bad guy
yeah,
in
but
Blade.
let's just
But
carry on
apart from
dissing.
that, yeah, that's
Let's carry
that's
on dissing for the sake of this stream. But yeah, like, but like Elizabeth Olsen, that was she got to do a acting masterclass in WandaVision, and
yeah,
I'm sure Jonathan Majors is going to do the same. I think, I strongly believe that Josh Brolin and Karen Gillian should have been nominated for Best Supporting Actors for their performances in Avengers
yeah. But
Endgame.
remember, there's so many politics in terms of when it comes to awards.
I thought he would see He Who Remains or the Fourth Keeper, Oracle Sewer. There is a fourth timekeeper, actually, but we'll go on to that later.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that one's probably always late, like me.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a fourth timekeeper, which was basically because when you walk into the castle, there's actually 4 statues, and one of the statues is broken.
Yeah,
So there is actually a fourth timekeeper in the comics, and the MCU have also acknowledged that there's a fourth timekeeper as well. So it'd be interesting to know why this fourth timekeeper isn't like acknowledged in the TVA. But then we're going to get a season 2, so I think a lot more of these things are going to be investigated. And I think we're probably going to find out as well that the timekeepers were actual proper beings at some point.
yeah, or maybe they're in hiding. Who knows?
Hiding, or they were killed by a Kang, or they're in some kind of prison, like cast away somewhere. Who knows? Who knows? Now, I'm going to be honest with you, David.
Maybe they got pruned.
Yeah, maybe they're in the void somewhere. I'm going to be honest with you. I always struggle with time travel stories, and I was with Loki, and there are a few bits I don't get. So I'm hoping you and people in the comments can help me out a bit, because there's a few bits which my little poor pea brain just, So, first question. What was Kang's plan? Now, I asked that because Kang, it feels like, led Loki and Sylvie to his castle. And he said to them, like, I'm tired. Either you can take over my job or you can kill me. And when Sylvie eventually kills Kang, he says, I'll see. He says something along the lines of, "I see you soon," and he's happy that he's been killed, which almost suggests to me that he no longer wanted there to be one timeline. He wanted lots of timelines. What do you think? Because that bit
Well,
confused me, I have to say.
well,
He wanted out. He was my brother just thinks he was just tired and he wanted out.
yeah, but at the same time, he who remains, it means that he would have had the ability from the get-go to leave from that castle where he was, and he could have actually spoken to anyone face to face. I think the reason why he set everything up as it was, I think he was hoping, he probably knew what was going to happen with Sylvie and with Loki, and he was hoping that Loki could possibly get through to Sylvie and prevent the whole timeline being split again, because in the end, it seems it's exactly what's going to happen. What happened will happen again.
Yeah.
Exactly what happened will happen again. It will all start over again. All those Kang will come together again, share information in the future, and then the exact same thing will happen again. So who knows? Maybe at the end of season 2, we're going to be right back in that castle again, this time in that same old story. The only difference this time is maybe because Loki knows what's happened, he will now be able to make the tough decision. I think that's what this was. I think it was a test.
So brother says he died. Maybe his consciousness passes to another Kang. That is kind of an impression I got as well.
But then if you looked at it, when he died, at the that was the end credit, wasn't it? Where when you saw them inside the TV, it's all been,
and there's a big statue of Kang.
Yeah, like it's all in his image. So it's as if everything that would have probably happened, except he wasn't there to prevent whichever Kang was more powerful this time that took over. So maybe in his timeline, he defeated the one who would have been the all-conqueror, who would have done what that one has now done. Yeah, so the one who's now replaced him is basically more dangerous than him. Like he was more maybe like a passive.
He genuinely felt he was doing good with the TVA.
Right. Whereas the other ones is probably a bit more destructive, especially if it's like you said, where the consciousness passes on. It means that the other Kangs would have known what happened to him. So therefore, they're going to be like, well, I'm not going to be as nice as him because look at that. He was nice and he ended up being killed. So I might as well be ruthless.
And at the same time, as I said, this for me was more Immortus than Kang, and Immortus is a bit more of a tweener. So the new Kangs we're going to see are going to be proper Kangs who are proper devious and sinister and nasty human beings. Nasty human, time-traveling human beings. Yeah, so this Kang kept the Time Wars at bay. So we know that cartoon we saw in the first episode, that kind of propaganda cartoon, was kind of half true and half not true. It was all about the timeline wars was essentially a war between different Kang factions, which this Kang won and just kept as one timeline. But this is where it confuses me. Why was he so happy to die and suddenly have all these other timelines branch out? Because then surely his entire life's work has been undone.
Well, maybe it's just guilt. Maybe he felt guilty about all the lives that was lost, everything that he done, including killing all the other Kangs. Maybe he just felt like he deserved to die because he caused all of that. Because I think deep down, like you said, he wanted to die in the sense that if he lived, he would have still been haunted by everything that he's been through, that he's done. And he's literally lived, it seems like, forever. So therefore, can you imagine literally just going through that same nightmare day in, day out? Dude doesn't look like he sleeps. And at the same time, he has some traits like Loki.
He's mischievous,
Avengers Loki, where he's like a child, like very mischievous, because he's got all that power. Yeah,
so maybe I was saying like chaos. Maybe chaos has become his thing.
Yeah, he's got all that power, and yet rather than just go straight to Loki or to the Avengers and said, "Listen, this is what's going to happen, so I need one of you guys to do it." It's like he specifically chose them as opposed to anyone else.
Yeah, it felt as though he was keeping all these Lokis in the void to see which one would break through and eventually get to him. I don't know. It didn't explain why the Lokis are so important to him, and I hope they kind of give an answer to that in season 2. Because I think that for me is just a bit of the storyline which they just haven't tied up properly.
I don't think so. I think they know exactly what they're doing. I think they're just
I think they know what
leaving
they're doing,
certain
but
bits.
just for me in
Yeah,
season 1, I don't think they tied up that bit of storyline.
yeah, which means it probably was purposely done.
Yeah,
Because, like I said to you, I always found it was quite interesting. Was it in episode 5 when Loki was it? Yeah, was it 5 or 4 when Loki was sitting with Sylvie and she was asking him like, "Oh, can I trust you?" And he's like, "Yes, I'm not gonna, I wouldn't betray you." It's almost to me it seems as if she was there testing right then, trying to make a decision right there and then if she would have killed him. And once she saw that he was trustworthy, she knew that he would do what she wouldn't. Which is he wouldn't kill her. Because when push came to shove when they were battling, let's face it, he could have killed her.
yeah,
But
it could.
because she knew how he felt about her, and it's like the one time when he really actually was being a decent being, because he's not human, so you can't say human, but he was actually being a decent being, and he actually loved her to the point where he didn't want to actually hurt her. He was willing to die. And I think at that time, at that point as well, in that particular moment, she realized that she couldn't actually kill him. She could have killed him also because he was unharmed, but she didn't. So instead, she just sent him away and did what she knew he wouldn't have, because he would have been more rational in terms of he probably wouldn't have killed, he who remained. He would have just taken the burden of just
Yeah. So
doing that.
at the moment, it feels like their love is a love that's just not destined to last. As they said, he was untrustworthy to her, and she can't trust anybody. It'll be interesting to see in season 2 how that kind of relationship follows through, because lots of people on the internet are describing Sylvie's killing of Kang as her Star-Lord moment, where where like Star-Lord in Infinity War goes against
Yeah,
the
yeah.
plan and they didn't get the gauntlet off him because he
Yeah,
went off his
literally
own
right when they were
emotions.
about to get the gauntlet off,
Yeah,
yeah, of his hand, yeah,
yeah.
and he
So
lost it.
he succumbs to his own emotions. They're saying like this is like Sylvie's thing. Instead of Sylvie thinking about the bigger picture and all the timelines, she's just killed him because she wanted revenge for her being taken away as a child.
Yeah, or maybe it's just the fact I think she probably felt at the same time also that she just wanted everyone to be able to live their life in their own timeline, not being brainwashed and taken in by the TVA to basically become
Yeah,
mindless soldiers fighting a battle that is not even real.
that's a really good point as well, because I think the overbearing theme of this, one of them anyway, the overbearing theme of this show has been the competition within yourself and within the TVA, free will versus predetermined destiny, which was kind of encapsulated in Mobius and his jet ski analogy. But again, even saw like Renslayer, like when she disappeared at the end. I'm going to go and find free will, but it's only the people in charge who have free will, which suggests to me she's going to find a Kang and align herself to a Kang because Kangs are basically in charge, and that's how she's going to get her free will.
Well, I don't even think she wants free will. If you look at it carefully, right? Despite everything that she found out, she still believed in the ideology of the TVA.
That's exactly what I told you last week, wasn't it?
Yeah, that she still believed that, you know what? Yes, it's a necessity. We need the TVA, we need order, we need the one timeline. So I think you're right in terms of she will find a Kang. And I think the Kang that she will find, she will actually align herself with him who's got the same ideology as hers, that order is needed. So literally she will feel like she has a purpose.
I think it's going to be the worst Kang, the one who wants to conquer the most. Because
which will mean we want one timeline where he's in charge, and she wants to basically have that ship sailed exactly that way, where, you know, one timeline, everyone do as they're told. If they don't do what they're supposed to, they get pruned, and then they get dealt with by Eliath. Is that the correct
Eliath,
name?
Yep.
Yeah, and that's that. It's like there's no gray with her, even when she knows that there is. It's like she literally still wants to hold on to that. But if you notice what was interesting, when they went back and that agent saw Renslayer before she was Renslayer, and saw that she's known, I wonder if they just went there just to see her, or if they're going there to try and use her, if that's a variant of her that they can use to then try and stop this future Renslayer.
Okay.
Because this one seems determined to actually get the TVA back in action.
Okay, comment here. He who remains Kang lost his insight when Renslayer went through the portal. Oh, okay. So my brother's saying it's basically a correlation between when she goes through the portal and he kind of loses, like doesn't quite know what's going to happen after this point, which is interesting. I think that does allude again to Renslayer and Kang hooking up at some point. I think we've exhausted that part. I've got another question, Davie.
Yeah.
Could this Kang be related to Reed Richards? Now, in the comics, his name is Nathaniel Richards. I think this would be a great way to kind of start introducing the Fantastic Four. And they might even be able to pluck a Fantastic Four out of another universe by doing it this way as well. But I've got a few thoughts, and I'd like to hear your opinions on this. So in the comics, Kang is actually a white person. And for the MCU, they've cast him as a black person. Now, in the comics, Kang is also Rama Tut. So in the comics, he goes back in time and he becomes the king of Egypt. And he calls himself Rama Tut. Now, I wonder if the MCU cast Jonathan Majors for that role, because it would be so stupid and so controversial to have a white actor playing Rama Tut if they go down that line in the future within the MCU.
Well,
are you doing complex mathematics?
No, in the sense, I'm trying to think like, well, for one,
2 plus 2 equals...
Yes, 64.
Exactly.
Well, for one, if he's related to Reed Richards, then he would be a distant ancestor.
Yeah.
Considering, because this one is from the 31st century.
Yeah.
So, you know.
But he still kept the surname Richards, though. So he's like a direct.
Descendant, like a great grandson.
Yeah.
Of them, which, it can happen. But again, like you said, in terms of him being black, remember, he's a variant from when the timeline before there was the war, which means that's when you had all the different branches. So on his Earth, maybe, Reed Richards is black on that particular timeline.
Absolutely.
I mean, we saw Black Loki.
Yeah. So like scientists have said, for example, in 30,000 years' time, white Australians will be dark or be or the descendants will look mixed. So basically, Australians won't be white forever. They will be dark skinned eventually. But yeah, I mean, the thing about maybe we're talking 10 generations difference between Reed Richards and Nathaniel Richards. So yeah, easily like ethnicities can change quite. Like it takes 3 generations really for an ethnicity to like properly like change. But I'm just saying, like, I think it's just. I think they've picked Jonathan Majors for that role because then if they put him in as Ramatot, it won't be. It would look controversial, put it that way, if they put a white actor in to play Ramatot at some point.
Well, to be fair, that's never really stopped them before. I mean,
I know, no, it's never stopped them before, but it'll be controversial now in 2021. Obviously, times have moved on.
But you look at even as recent as about 3 years ago when they used Scarlett Johansson to play Ghost in the Shell, which is a Japanese character.
Oh, yeah. But the thing is, I think all these studios have learned from those mistakes, haven't they? They've kind of gone, we're not doing that again. I mean, even like recently, like Kevin Feige.
Yeah, that I believe that in the sense, especially in Marvel, where Marvel's market is so diverse, and the last thing they want to do is really go and offend anyone. When considering in ancient Egypt, it wouldn't have really been whites that would have been there
exactly
at that particular time. So that logic would just be like far-fetched, where you just think, yeah, typical, here they go again, saying it was the white act. It was, yes, he was white in those days when really and truly he's not. It's
like Kevin Feige's already said as well that he maybe shouldn't have cast the Ancient One as a white female. You see, he has said that was a mistake, so I imagine that's probably a mistake he doesn't want to make again. But moving on, yeah, I think Kang is also going to be a vehicle for the Fantastic Four to debut as well.
Well, now you don't even need a vehicle because now they're all going to be able to merge inside there now with all the timelines branching off and everything that's going to happen now. Literally everyone has now got a gateway in without it affecting anything, because you won't know who's from what Earth. Because let's face it, none of these variants knew that they were a variant. As far as they're concerned, they're just from Earth, like how we are. We could, like, for all we know, we could be a variant right now.
I'll tell you who do know that they're variants. The Kangs, they've worked it out.
Yeah, they did, but that was based on science and technology, because they use science and technology and research, and then they saw, oh, this is that, and they researched, and they, because of how their mind works, and they were able to actually travel through and realize that, oh, there's actual, alternative realities and parallel Earths and universe,
So I've got a theory about this as well, about how Kang has gotten time travel technology. So you saw,
well, he's from the future.
Yeah, but you saw in episode 5, there was a building called Quang Towers, which is in the comics one of the buildings that Kang owns. But that's essentially the Avengers building, the Fantastic Four Plaza, Tony Stark's building.
Yeah.
And people on the internet, gotta love people on the internet. They're great. They're never rude or anything like that. People have said that his time pad or his tech looks a bit like Tony Stark's tech when he worked out the entire time travel stuff in Endgame.
Oh yeah. And when he's in his cabin.
Yeah,
it was in his cabin. He did, wasn't it? In the cabin.
Yes. So I wonder if there's going to be some kind of succession where Tony Stark's technology ends up with Reed Richards in that same Stark Tower, but now called the Fantastic Four Plaza, which then over time, over all these generations, is going to end up with Nathaniel Richards as Quang Towers. I just wonder if that tech is actually, the birth of that tech was Tony Stark making it in Avengers Endgame, and now Kang is
Yeah, but
basically
we're
just
looking at it
perfected
as
that
if,
tech.
yeah, but we're looking as if Kang is from the Avengers Earth. We don't know which Earth he's from. We just
Well,
know that he's
I
from
think
one
it's
of
I
them.
think it's fair to say that this Kang is from our time, not our timeline, the main MCU timeline, because that's the sacred timeline, and that's the timeline he's been fighting to defend. So I think he's been fighting to defend his own timeline.
That's an interesting. So I never thought of it that way. I thought he was just literally just trying to. He was like the lesser of all the evils. So
No, no,
he was just trying to.
I think he won, and that is very much his timeline, the MCU timeline, and that is the timeline he's fighting to keep alive. And that's why in the TVA offices you only see one real timeline with not that many branches coming off it. Is because of that Kang, which we saw, or Mortis, as I keep on referring to him. There's that would be the timeline that he's come from,
Yeah.
our main MCU timeline. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I think plenty of things could happen. Okay, so next question. You ready?
Yeah.
What next for season 2?
Well, I think first, I think it all depends. I think it depends on is it agent is it B15? No. Which one is B15? Is B15 the black agent,
Yeah,
the TV agent?
yeah.
I think it also depends on her if she's also lost her memory or her knowledge of what's happened. Because if she's not remembered everything, then it would literally just be Loki by himself, literally trying to take on all the timelines,
Well,
trying to write
she
everything by
has lost her
himself.
memory,
Did we
but
see her in
yeah,
it
yes,
after?
yeah. She's lost her memory as well. With she was stood there with Mobius, and both Mobius and
Oh,
B,
she was there with Mo. Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
both of them
Yeah,
didn't
see,
recognize.
so
So,
it's,
but that's a good point because obviously Loki goes back to the TVA and he encounters a Loki statue. So either one or two things has happened, and if there's a third possibility, I'd like to hear it in the comments. Either the TVA have had their memories reset, which we suspected
yeah,
could have been a thing within TVA anyway.
right. Based on the cup,
Yeah,
the glass stains on all those.
yep. Or he's actually in a different TVA timeline. So he's in a TVA office in a different timeline entirely.
Yeah,
Yeah. Or this is my other theory. I've got a third theory, sorry. He's in the same TVA building, but those are a different B-15 and Mobius to the
yeah, different versions of them. Yeah,
different
like
versions of them to the ones which he was communicating with throughout the series. So I've got 3 theories, all of which I'm quite happy to entertain, and I don't know which has more validity than the other.
well, we can't say which one hit, which isn't valid or not because it's Marvel and it's Loki and it's just very, very peculiar because you don't know where they're gonna go with it. So you can't predict any of these things. We can just hope, just like with our combined um, guesses and theories, that will both be right in some way, shape, or form. Like you was saying that one of your guesses of who the big bad was going to be Kang. And I also said, you know what? Don't trust. I said it as a joke, but I also meant it. We can't really trust Miss Minutes because I think she knows more than what. The fact that she was able to work with Renslayer without saying much by stalling them means that she wasn't just, a projector that's just there just
No,
to give out information.
no, I
So
don't.
again, it's the same thing. I think we can't say it's going to go this way or that because we don't know exactly where they're going to go. But I
No, but
think that that might be a case as well, like you're saying. It might be a version, or maybe it is like we said. Maybe they do have. Maybe when Sylvie killed he who knows all, he who remains, she got all his knowledge based on, that time watch thing that she has. She was able to see everything because with that, it looks as if he can go through anything. He can go through any time to see everything that's happened up until a certain point. Plus, he had a book that had everything inside there that said how the timelines were going to go up until a certain point. So I think maybe she's actually able to see everything that's happened, which means she knows exactly how to erase memories, how to put things in place where people didn't even know that they probably done something before. Like Mobius wasn't even aware that he's put those glasses on the table inside that room with Ren in the office with Renslayer many times before. He had no knowledge of it when he's already, in theory, it looks as though he had actually done that maybe 4 or 5 times and he had no knowledge. So unless each time you do that, they erase you and replace you with an earlier version of yourself, which could be the case because remember, B-15 went back to speak to Renslayer before she was Renslayer. So maybe they're able to do that. If you do something, they can go back to get you from the earlier time and then re-recruit you. So it's as
Possible.
if you didn't know anything.
Possible. But if I'm going to be a betting man, and I'm not here to sit on defense, I'm going to say, because I think you'll just be more interesting. I'm going to say actually that Loki's talking to an entirely different unit of hunters and analysts, and actually the Mobius and B-15 that he knows are still about somewhere, but he's just talked to the wrong
Or
ones.
maybe he's in prison. Maybe he's in that, that time loop prison thing where he's just reliving things over and over. So he's talking to these, but really and truly, it's not real. It's just a prison. He's been locked in.
Maybe, potentially. But yeah, for season 2, I'm just looking ready forward to it. I get the impression that Kang is going to feature quite prevalently.
Well, I actually had 2 questions that I wrote down as well to ask you.
Go on.
One of them I wrote was, did Loki's heart cost him?
Look at that. By the magic of production.
Yes.
Did Loki's heart cost him? No, I think the fact that he couldn't be trusted was what cost him. Basically, all of the times he's messed up in the past and not been very trustworthy basically caught up with him. If he'd been a trustworthy dude, then maybe Sylvie might have trusted him and they wouldn't have been in this mess.
Well, I'm not going to blame him actually this time because I think he was honest. I think he was untrusting with everyone else, but I think with Sylvie, which basically was with himself, he was actually honest with that particular part of who he was. I think Sylvie was maybe like a piece of him that probably only his mama would know in terms of where he's honest and he knows, they would see through all the lies or whatever. And I think he was honest. And I think, which is why I asked that question, I think it did cost him because I think by him revealing how he really was, how he really felt, Sylvie knew that he wouldn't really hurt her in terms of he wouldn't kill her because he could have killed her many times in that battle. He was actually he was more skilled, the skilled fighter, and he could have killed her on multiple occasions. And I think even at some point, he was close, but he just didn't want to succumb to that side of him because every time he does that, I think he's going to remember what it's cost him being Loki. The wild card Loki. It cost him his brother, his mom, his dad. Literally all of those things was based on his action. And I think because of that, Sylvie knew he wouldn't do it this time. And I think she just preyed on him and he just gave in to love and it cost him.
Yeah, I just think all of those bad checks which Loki's given out in the past just came back to bite him on the arse. he was a good person in that instance, but in life, sometimes people judge you accumulatively. So when people do that, it doesn't matter what you do in your most recent act. All that stuff you've done before is still going to be at the forefront of their minds. I think me and you both look at life very differently, Davian.
So you believe that because of his sins, what he's done in the past, even though he showed that he was on the road to redemption, he still was at fault because of the past?
Yeah, because
No. The
because no,
poor
no, I'll tell
guy
you
gave
why.
it all. He sat there with her and was waiting for those meteors to drop and destroy them both because he loved her and he was willing to die with
Exactly,
her.
and that's the difference between you and me. You think love is enough, and you think love somehow conquers all, and somehow love means you should be forgiven for everything. Whereas no,
And I
you've
think,
got to, you've if you've done something wrong, you've got to redeem yourself appropriately and
but he's owned
proportionately
up to his errors, what
to what
he's
you've
done.
done.
He owned up to all of he's done. And he spent the first 3+ episodes getting punished for all of his sins and all of his past deeds. So therefore, the last 3 episodes when he's there making stride to be a better person, stretch your hand out and give the guy the olive branch. But instead,
Listen. I would not that I'm in love with Loki because that'd be weird, but I would give him the olive branch. But as has been discussed, Sylvie has trust issues. Sylvie
but that's
has
nothing to do with him. He
has
wasn't the one
trouble
who betrayed her.
trusting people.
Everything that he said he was going to do, he did
So
in
then,
terms of with her. So why did she not trust him? It's not him.
so then it wasn't Loki's heart that let him down. Then it was Sylvie's lack of trust.
Yeah, but it was also his heart that let him down because if he was probably being himself, the untrustworthy, unpredictable Loki, then he would have done to her what she done to him, even if he didn't want to kill her. He would have like thrown her out into the time loop, sent her wherever, and then he would have taken over, and thus there would have been no timelines being reborn. But I guess what people should be doing was now, I should say, should be doing now is thanking Loki. So because of his love and
One
his
second, one second, one second.
compassion,
In the comments, let me know if Davian's talking truth or if it's just romantic and emotional drivel. Please, I just want to know what.
truth, truth, truth. Think about it. Poor Loki, because of his heart, what
The
he's
people can
done,
think for themselves, Davian.
he's actually what now? He's actually going to help the economy because now, because of his heart, and he let his heart let Sylvie get away with stuff. Now the timelines have all been scattered. Now the economy in reality is now going to be much better because there's going to be so many actors now getting jobs because there can be so many different series now that's going to come out. Whereas if Loki had won, there would have still just been that one timeline and he would have been the gatekeeper.
Okay, just so you're aware, the MCU is not the real world. No, I know the timelines are now crossing over, but it's not happening
Yeah,
to
but
that extent.
yeah, but in the real
AVP
world,
is a hopeless romantic. He is. He is. He is. Unfortunately, he does think that a bouquet of flowers is perfectly okay after you've boinked.
massacred, a few villages and whatnot, because he actually sat there and was willing to face the apocalypse with her.
Well, I guess he had
But
nothing
like a
else to do at that.
typical,
I guess
I
he had
mean,
nothing else to do at that point, did he? It's not like he
well,
could have gotten away. It was
hey,
his
you
only
got
choice,
some,
really.
yeah, you
I'm
got
going to
some men that'll be
commend
like,
for
yeah.
doing something which was the only choice he had.
Well, he could have still walked away and said, you know what, I'm gonna go die over that corner by myself, yes, because you're being irrational. He could have
Okay.
done that, but no, he manned up and he sat there and like a
Yes.
typical,
Apparently,
you
you're an
know,
imaginative romantic. Mate, this isn't looking
yeah,
good for you. After this
yeah.
stream, I want you to go away, look in the mirror, and just have a good word with yourself.
I will. A variant version of me is there saying the same thing. I say, well, you know what, Davie P, you're right. Because you think about it, if that was a relationship, like we all, you see some comedians joke about things like this, a man could go out and save the entire universe. And if he's supposed to be at dinner or be home at 6 o'clock and he gets home at 7, despite the fact that he was out there battling all the villains and saving the universe, the wife is going to be like, well, I don't care who you were saving. Yeah, you could have been fighting Thanos and Galactus. I don't care. Yes, we made a plan. You were supposed to be here at 6 o'clock and it's now 7. That's exactly what's happened. Dude gave up was literally about to die in an apocalypse, and she still turned and said, well, you know what, even though you're going to die in the apocalypse with me, technically, you've not really been truthful in the past. So therefore, that's why I couldn't really give you the benefit of the doubt this time.
Do you know
So
something?
yeah, I had to kill him.
I don't even think Loki's love for her was that important. I think
Wow.
Sylvie just wanted to kill Kang. This was the man who took her from her idyllic childhood, pruned that childhood, and made her a fugitive for 1,000 years. She wanted to kill him no matter what.
Well, technically, she wanted to kill Renslayer because it was actually Renslayer who actually took her. Yet she had the chance to kill Renslayer. She let Renslayer live, but the dude who didn't do it to her.
She wanted to get. Well, technically, it was Kang who done it to her because Kang's the man at the top.
Yeah, he may be the man at the top, but it was actually Renslayer who actually did the action. He may have been the hand at the top, but Renslayer was the weapon that was used. And she had the chance to actually take out that weapon and the man on top. Why not do both? Why let her live when she's the one whose face you're going to remember? Technically, you've never seen.
I can answer that question.
Well, yeah, why?
Because if she killed Renslayer, she wouldn't have been able to get to Kang.
Well, if she had pruned her like she did herself, then at least she would have just left her there. So, you know what? Whatever happens to you happens.
I remember she didn't know that pruning just takes you to the void and not to another doesn't kill you, basically. What was your second question? I'll type it out as you say it.
Yeah, so and then my second one was he used by Sylvie? Was Loki used by Sylvie?
Do you know something? I think this is actually saying a lot more about your relationship strife than the TV show, I gotta say.
No, it's about Sylvie because I think that he was used by her because without him, she wouldn't have known what she would have been capable of doing. Without him, she wouldn't have been able to charm the Alliance, so she wouldn't have gotten to where she had gotten without him.
Was Loki used by Sylvie? I think they were. I don't know because I think they were working together up until that last moment.
He was working with her, but she had her plan from the get-go. Her plan was she was going to do that.
And Loki knew that plan. It wasn't like it was a last-minute change of plan. Oh, I never knew you were going to kill the main person. Loki knew all along that was the plan. Comments again, please. What are you saying?
Yeah, but I think also once she actually got there and she saw what the bigger picture was.
Don't mean anything. Bouquets of flowers are nothing money. Thank you, Bavik. Penny. Damn, Skippy.
Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Bav.
Mr. Cato says, learning a lot about Davie P today. Yes. Aren't we all?
All I'm saying is, if a guy's willing to die, if someone's willing to die on a planet with you, to face the apocalypse and not run off and leave you, at least give them the benefit of the doubt to say, you know what, since there's a bigger picture, let's just try and work on that. Not
my brother has said here, Sylvie needed a Loki as a partner. He wasn't used. Loki knew what the end game was. It was only when he got in there, had that chat with Kang, and they were like...
Yeah, but you see, you heard what your brother said? Not exactly, which means that she did kind of use him.
I know my brother's vernacular. He's saying you're talking rubbish.
She did use him. Yeah? She used the poor guy. Go back and watch it again. He was looking at her like a lovesick puppy, and she knew it.
When the whole time that was on, and that was on him. That was for him, for being... Do you know what Loki was? He was a simp. in this episode. He was a simp.
No, he was a god of simp.
He was a god. Yeah, I agree with you. He was a god of simp. He knew exactly what Sylvie's plan was. He went along with it. It was only at the last moment when Kang said, "Oh, we can be in charge," and Loki was like, "Maybe we don't want the timelines to fall apart." And it was only because Sylvie has trust issues, and coupled with the fact that Loki is a notorious liar, that they couldn't come to a common conclusion to save the timeline.
Well, all I'm saying is Sylvie could have gone and got some therapy before she actually did that.
See,
So, sort out her trust issues, see her
he
straight,
was actually a
talk it
simp.
out.
He was 100% the simp. All Lokis use each another. Maybe Davie P is right.
There you go. She used him, the poor guy. I feel his tears. He looks so broken. He looks so broken and sad. And she just there, just tossed him into the wind, and they're just stabbing up he who remained.
This feels as though you're projecting some kind of inner emotion onto
Nah, I'm
Loki.
just feeling Loki's pain. Poor Loki. Loki, this one's for you, buddy.
A god who became a sacrificial lamb for Sylvie's.
There you go. Exactly.
God, what are you going to do
Use
to
them.
Davey? And I hope you look in the mirror tonight and you just go, man, what's up with
I'm
me?
gonna wake up and have nightmares. Like, Sylvie, no! Sylvie!
I can imagine that happening.
Yeah.
I can imagine that happening. Have you got any more questions about Loki?
No, that's it there, really. You know, I feel Loki's tears, you know. He's lost his daddy, he's lost his mama, and now the woman that he loved tossed him into a void.
But how Loki and Sylvie been on the journey together, so they changed.
Exactly.
I think Loki
he
changed.
changed and became a better person.
I agree. I think Loki changed and became a better person. Did Sylvie change?
No, I think Sylvie remained, like you said, Sylvie just remained focused. Sylvie would make the perfect secret agent.
Sylvie
doesn't stray from the mission.
Sylvie had the opportunity to change in that moment. And because of her trust issues, she didn't take it. Now, she's going to have to deal with the fallout of that in season 2. Because all them timelines rupturing. And did you see as well? Some of the timelines were even crossing over.
Yeah.
So God knows what's happening in those timelines. It must be brutal in those timelines. There must be literally timelines colliding, worlds colliding in those.
Well, here's my prediction now. My prediction for season 2 is at some point the thing is going to hit the fan, and Sylvie's going to come looking for Loki to actually help her fix things. Now he's going to actually have. Yeah.
Are you
all right? I'm all right. I'm just sad for Loki, man. You know, poor guy. He's going to have to wait 6-7 months now before season 2 for us to know what's happened with him.
I feel as though this stream has been therapy for you. I think when you're back in London, I think maybe me and Mr. Kale should take you out for a few drinks.
Yeah, for ice cream. I can just see poor Loki right now. You know, he's just going to be inside the TVA office, sitting there with a tub of ice cream, maybe Haagen-Dazs, listening to some love song and just eating it and just crying himself away. Like, look
you
at
and
that.
Loki listening to Air Supply together.
Yeah, some Air Supply. I had it all in my hand. I'm all out of love. He's going to be there playing that.
Okay. So do you take this from Bav?
Exactly. There you go, Bav. So she preyed on him. She preyed on him. Preyed on his emotion and his mental and emotional weakness.
So he was a simp.
He's emotional. Yeah, because remember, he was emotional he saw how his timeline, how his story ended. He saw what happened to his mom, which he never got to see what happened to his mom. So he was emotionally fractured.
He was a mess. I'll agree with you there.
And she knew that.
I agree with you there. So yeah, I'm really excited about Loki. But do you know something I'm really excited about? 2 things I'm excited about. We've hit 100 subscribers.
Yay.
The second thing I'm excited about is actually where the MCU is going, because now we're going to have Kangs everywhere. They're just going to be everywhere. It's going to be Kangs on Kangs on Kangs, just everywhere. Which is going to be amazing. And I really hope at some point. Thank you, Bavik. I'm not going to read that one out, but everyone can read it.
Yeah, a man who put the woes before the bros. Yes, he did. You know, he put the woes of the world of his heart. You know, poor Loki.
Bav, you can come out as well for this drink with Davie just to.
You know what I'm thinking right now, Manny?
Well.
Manny.
Everyone can come. I think he's going to need all of us to help him through this tough and difficult period he's going through.
Manny.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm thinking right now? I'm just picturing poor Loki sitting there, you know, tears streaming down his face, snot down his nose. He's got the ice cream and the spoon, and then out of nowhere comes Richard E. Grant's Loki with the man purse, opens it, get out a pack of Kleenex, wipe those tears away, Loki. Dry those eyes. We'll make it better. Close back up the man purse and just trots off.
That would be a beautiful moment. And then maybe Gator Loki just smacks him in the face and tells him to get his
man up.
Yeah. Should be pretty cool. So I'm really excited about the MCU. You've got Kang on Kangs everywhere. So one thing which I think is really interesting, what we've seen in the series, I'm about to talk about Black Widow, if anybody wants to log off. What we've seen is the TV series now directly affecting the movies. Because people used to say, like, they're not going to do anything too big in a TV series because, you know, they want people going to the cinema to not have to have watched the TV series. But this has essentially started the Multiverse of Madness, which is going to basically be Doctor Strange's movie. Secondly, I'm not going to talk about. See you, man. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks, Bev.
So I know you haven't seen Black Widow, but I'm just going to talk about it. So in the end scene, Florence Pugh's character, or Florence Pugh, goes to Natasha's graveside to like lay a bunch of flowers.
Oh, so this is now going forward.
Yeah, so it's like so it's a cutscene after Endgame, basically.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So it's now after the Endgames.
Yeah.
This part is now after that.
Yep. And so she's there getting a bit emotional. And guess who turns up next to her? I'll give you a clue. They are from the Falcon and Winter Soldier show.
The Dora Milaje?
No, I'll give you 3 guesses.
Winter Soldier?
Nope, it's not. It's nope. They're female. I'll give you that as your last clue.
It's a female?
Yeah.
What female was it? Wait, is it what's her name? Captain America's niece who was kissing on?
No. It was Valentina Allegra de Fontaine.
Oh, you mean the US agent's boss?
Yeah, new handler. And Yelena says to her, you know, what are you doing here? It's my day off. Like, so Yelena is already working for Valentina.
Oh.
So that's already in place. And Valentina says, oh, I've got a new mission for you. And it's to, I want you to kill the person who murdered your sister. And shows her a picture of Hawkeye, Clint Barton.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. So I wonder if she's going to be in the Hawkeye series.
Exactly. So it's looking like she could well be in the Hawkeye series. And notice as well, Valentina's being a bit dubious with the truth, saying that Hawkeye killed Natasha. We all know that didn't happen. Natasha willingly sacrificed herself.
Yeah, and to be fair to him, he couldn't even beat her anyway.
No, he couldn't. He
She,
couldn't.
yeah, she was more badass than him one on
Yeah,
one.
yeah, she had skills. So again, we're seeing that the movies are going to have a potentially have a direct effect on the TV series as well. So now all of this stuff is aligned now. Everything is all connecting. Now you honestly can't miss a single like Marvel movie or series now because everything's connecting. And as my brother says, this potentially could be leading on to a Dark Avengers
Yeah, but
story.
then they're not that tough. Considering any time if if old US agent tried to pipe up and get too tough, there's always gonna be someone that's gonna be like, yeah, you weren't so tough when them Dora Milaje was there whooping on you, was you? Eh?
Hopefully, they give him a few easy missions just to get his confidence back, and then they'll send him on more difficult
Yeah, I think
missions. But I'll
anytime
tell
he
you,
sees anything bald headed, anyone bald headed and black, he's gonna have like a nervous breakdown, like like some PTSD, like, oh my god, no, not again.
but I'll tell you this: like Yelena will definitely kick US agent's ass with or without super soldier serum. Um, but yeah, so and possibly not even the Dark Avengers. I'm still going for the Thunderbolts. Thunderbolt Ross turns up in the Black Widow movie as well. So I'm still thinking Thunderbolts personally, but Dark Avengers is a possibility as well. It's going to be great, whatever happens.
Yeah, I think. Well, for one, I need to go and see that at some point this coming week. I need to go and watch that.
It's
And
you know, say it's a great movie. I walked in there with zero expectation. I was actually expecting this movie to be Marvel's first standard run of the mill action movie. Will just be like, yeah, I was all right. A few good fight scenes, but it was actually very good. Very good
but yeah, I
storyline.
knew, but I told you it was gonna be good because I actually saw before you actually watched it. I actually got one of these news feeds that popped up on my phone that actually was talking about the reviews for it, and it actually gave it very good reviews.
Yeah,
Said it was really good. So once I saw it, I said, okay, that's very good, which is great because I think for any actor that's coming in and doing a Marvel movie, because we've only just really started with the MCU series now, since the end of, Infinity Wars when we had like, um, Scarlet Witch, and then we had Winter Soldier and now Loki. So let's just say that all these series has only started since the end of Infinity Wars. But I think in terms of in terms of movie wise, I think actors that's coming in, it's a big step because all the movies are all grossing billions, you know,
yeah.
hundreds of millions. It's like, okay, yeah, that's fine.
This has
Like, I
already been
mean,
one of their most successful movies in the opening week. Black
but
Widow.
then, well, yeah, well, I would take that with a pinch of salt based on the fact that right now there hasn't really been
Yeah, people just
that much
desperate to go to
movies. Yeah,
people
movies
just
that's
desperate to go
been
to the cinema.
out. Yeah, movies that's been out in 2021. So I think right about now, there's like, any movie that's showing, people are going to be out. Like, I mean, don't be surprised if next week, you'll probably hear that Space Jam 2 is going to be number one because that's just come out over the weekend,
Yeah.
like a
Um,
few days ago in the States. So,
and another point I want to make about Black Widow too is, I mean, I'm not a cinematographer, so I don't know what I'm talking about. But this movie is shot very differently to the other Marvel movies. Like,
yeah, I
just
read something about that.
yeah, it's just maybe some of the comments can help me, but there's almost scenes which it feels like they've just filmed it on like an iPhone. It feels like just to get that real kind of chaotic action feel going.
Yeah.
Um, just the way it's like the angles they use and stuff, like the quality of the camera. It feels more like a proper like action movie than like a superhero movie more than anything. Florence Pugh is amazing. And David Harbour is great as Red Guardian as well. I really want to see more of Red Guardian. He's great. Very funny as well.
Is that Black Widow's father?
Yeah. I'll say
Is that
yeah
the one
for
with?
the I'll say yeah
That's
for
what.
the purpose of not giving you more spoilers, but
Yeah, but yeah, that's the one where they said like he's down for one of the worst fathers. Like literally, like I saw something saying that about it when they were like comparing dads. Like
I
they were
mean
saying about Black.
he's not as bad as Fred West, put it that way.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm gonna watch it. I think what we should do next week, we should actually do. Once I do that, we can actually do a proper review on Black Widow, but also have a look back on the three series that we've actually seen so far. Um, Falcon and Winter Soldier. Um, what's his name in Wonder Vision, and Loki. Have our see which was our favorite, what do we think, what not, and yeah.
Yeah,
I
okay,
think
we
it
can
would
do
be
that. We can do that. We can do like review the series, a quick review of Black
yeah, and
Widow.
also a big shout out to next week as well to our reaching 100 subscribers. We can touch on that, touch on what we've done so far on the channel.
Yep. Remember, we're just touching them figuratively. We're not going to actually touch our 100 subscribers.
Yeah.
You might get arrested.
Yeah, and also, at this time, I just want to send a big shout out to Loki. Hold your chin up, big guy. I know it hits you right there. So yeah. Shout out to you, Loki. Eat that ice cream. Listen to that Air Supply. Listen to some Bon Jovi. Just get it out your system because she'll be back. Yeah. When the ish hits the fan next season, she'll be back to come and say, you know what, Loki, you was right. I shouldn't have stabbed him in the chest. I should have used my words.
Or maybe Loki comes back and finds out that Sylvie started dating classic Loki.
Yeah. Or maybe Loki go and find her and be like,
I'm into
Sylvie,
older men, okay?
Sylvie, take me back. I'll let you kill 100 more of those guys. Just take
No.
me back. I'll help you stab him.
Richard D. Grant is far more suave and sophisticated. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I wonder if he's going to have a different man purse next season. Like in a different color.
Well, the thing is, I mean, I like to think he's faked his death, but other people are saying he's definitely dead. So
yeah, he ain't dead. No man that wears his underwear over his tights with a man purse and full-fledged horns dies like that.
People are saying he's definitely dead because he's crying before he dies.
No, he was just crying because of how beautiful it was, his work, literally creating Asgard, literally.
The EVP, the simp of the Veilmen.
Yep, that's it there. I'm on Loki. Team Loki. We're out there, buddy.
Oh, God. So, yeah, I think we need to watch the trailers as well for What If, because I wasn't going to do streams for the What If series, but now with this entire you don't know what the What If series is?
No.
So I was going to do streams. I wasn't going to do streams for the What If series, but I'll bring it back.
Took me out, yeah.
Basically, it's after Loki. In a couple of weeks' time, the What If series is going to start, which is basically the MC. It used to be a comic back in the day, but it basically asks questions like. I'm looking at my brother to help me out as well because he used to collect the What If series. But for example, they'll like pose a question: what if the Fantastic Four all had the powers of Reed Richards? So what if all four of them had that power? Then it'll basically be a story about how the Marvel Universe would have transpired if that had been the case.
Yeah.
So the What If series is basically going to be them posing these questions.
All those theoretical questions of what ifs.
Yeah. what if this happened? How would the MCU have panned out, and so
Yeah.
forth. So I wasn't going to bother doing streams about it because I just thought this series, this animated series, was just going to be a bit of fun. But now I'm thinking it might actually have an impact on the multiverse.
Oh, yeah. When is it on?
Oh god, I think it starts in 3 or 4 weeks. So we got a
How
break now.
many how many episodes is it?
I think it's. I'm not sure. I think it's 6 again.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that
What if
sounds
it
good.
equals? So my brother says it. What if it equals the multiverse? So essentially, all of these what if stories could or are essentially another part, basically displaying a multiverse to us,
Yeah.
another universe to us. So that could be interesting. And then straight after What If, going to be another break, and then we're straight into Hawkeye.
Oh, when does Hawkeye start? September?
That feels about right. I'll have to double check. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, Davey, do you want to say goodbye to all the beautiful people at home?
Yes, all you beautiful people at home. Thank you for tuning in. This has been a wonderful week for Davey LP/Simp this week. But I'm on Team Loki, and I feel his pain. Loki, I'm here for you, buddy. We out there. So yes, thank you. We've now hit 100 subscribers. So again, we're going to be doing something next week. Just talking about that. We're also gonna have, but won't get that until when I get back to the UK. But I'm gonna have some Vehement giveaway. Some Vehement T-shirt for the Vaya gangs. So we're gonna maybe do like a trivia or something.
What I think you should do is you should cry some simp tears into a jar, and we give away the jar.
Yes, little, those little, like what do you call those things? Like the little tubes what they use in the science lab, to
A
like
test
collect.
tube.
Yeah, but like a little one, not big test tube. Not too many tears, we have to save some. Because we never know. We might need them for season 2 for poor Loki. But
Some
yes,
snot in there as well.
yeah,
Cool.
we've hit 100. So again, like I said, thank you all. We just 4 guys who decided, what, we're gonna just do this. We enjoy each other. We're friends for the longest of time. We're gonna do this, and it's doing well. So we're gonna do something on that. We're gonna try and get all the guys together, so we can all be on there and just talk about that so far. How it's going, where what's next for the Vehement, and how we can continue to keep entertaining you guys and be in touch, because that's most important. Also, keep that connection and that communication with everyone. We don't want to be like any other channel where they get out of touch with their base, and they
It's
stop
just turned into a very
responding.
long goodbye, I have to say.
Yes. Hey, this is like, what this goodbye is like? It just reminds me, as you said that, it reminds me of Deadpool. Remember when Deadpool was dying
Yeah,
and he just wouldn't die?
everyone else is like, God, I just want to log off now.
Yeah, like, just die now, Oh, yes, I'm almost there. I see the light. But yeah, that's it. So, yes, thank you all for the support. And yeah,